So I have very little information about what Macau was like, other than...
Oh, I actually, before we actually moved over, I and my mother made a trip to see what's like, it's like, and oh my, it's like heavens. You know, no fear of the Japanese. We were living among the soldiers and all that. As a matter of fact, where my house is, right across is the Chinese school. The troops were there, they just moved in, and they were parading up and down the streets all the time until they finally moved out of that location. They went over, and then it was quiet. But then the Japanese are still in control. Wherever we went, we see horrible things going on. You know.
What kind of things did you see?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was looking out my window at this two-story house, and I saw they were looting, looters tearing up all the wood in Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong.
All the woodwork they were taking, taking all for firewood. And I saw this guy looting, and the Japanese soldier following up behind him and shot him. Just killed him just like that. And actually, also going back to Hong Kong a little bit, when we were in the convent, we had groups of had to go look for firewood and things like that, and we had armbands. We walked third party. So we went into the hospital and see dead bodies all over the place.
In Hong Kong?
Oh, in Hong Kong. This is they had looted the hospital and everything, and somebody came around and shot, like they see any looters, they shoot them.
So this is while you were still in Hong Kong?
Hong Kong. This is in Hong Kong before we went back to Hong Kong. Yeah.
When you got to Macau, now I've read that Macau was an open city and neutral.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of people died there.
Well, not that I saw. I mean, Macau was peaceful as ever.
As compared to Hong Kong.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Malnutrition and cholera.
Yeah, that died of cholera. Not from any Japanese killing anybody, and not that we see it. We see some atrocities, but they're very, very calm. So anyway, while in Macau, I enjoyed life. We go to clubs and do everything. So I had nothing to do with it. So funny, I decided through my friend, they got me into the consulate to be a bodyguard.
Oh, in
Macau. I was a guard, a regular guard. The first day, my duty in the consulate, we had alerts because the Japanese consul was killed, and they blamed it, of course, on the British, and we were in the British consul. And so it alerts everybody, got guns, and go up to the roof. And I was stationed down the first floor, and I had a gun given to me. I never fired a shot before. Anyway, we lived all through the night. They had to under alert. In the morning, everybody came down, and I remember the chief guard saw somebody come with a gun. Where do you get this gun from? It doesn't have any firing pin. Nobody experienced it. We only a few guys.
They gave you a gun without a firing pin.
Well, he didn't know. He was up. I didn't know if it fired enough, but.
Right.
As a matter of fact, just kind of ridiculous situation. Most of us. Some of them had experience but most of us don't. Like me, I had got the gun and went out to fire the shot. Gave the policeman outside that I'm going to fire a shot. Well, I fired all blood, all duds. And then
All blanks?
All blank.
So you had no firing pin in the gun and all blanks.
Yeah, this the difference. The guys around that didn't. Well, some of them didn't have any. I fired. The bullets were lousy. You know, it didn't explode. So, and then the only thing I can say is I had no experience with guns, and yet I had 2 incidents when a gun exploded. I shot it, but for no reason at all. One was I was cleaning, and I shot the windowsill. And the other time, I was getting down to sit in the chair, and the gun came out and hit the floor and shot the window, the door.
So they must have given you live ammunition.
Oh yeah, those are good. But when I tried, first time I tried it, it didn't work. And so I left it. I didn't want to schedule it. And you have to schedule it with the policeman to make sure that they don't get excited about it. So it just shows it's a comedy of errors. And then not only that, after that, I was made bodyguard of the consul, and so whenever I went in processions, and I was next to him with a gun on my back, but I don't recognize anybody. The threat, the people there know the consul, you know. But the consul's wife is she has to go. She didn't mind anybody, you know, where she went. She wants to go to the hairdressers, and after that I had to go with her, and after that she wanted to go to the coffee shop, and when I walked in the coffee shop in typical, all the Chinese communists, those affiliated with the Japanese, I mean, they were there also, and their guns were blazing all over the gun.
Yeah.
But all the vests, with everything, the job. And I just had to sit there and do nothing. I couldn't do anything anyway. But that's a kind of stupid situation. As a bodyguard, I had to go there, but I don't know who's my enemy. So we survived that. And also, when the first group of American pilots were shot down in the raid of Hong Kong, the consul bought them from the Chinese, and so they were in the consulate, and I met about 6 of them.
This is the Macau consulate or the British consulate?
British consulate in Macau.
In Macau.
Yeah,
Okay.
Reeves, the consulate Reeves, he lives up in a house called Skyline.
I see.
And it's a pretty big thing. And our guards, as a guards, we used to also put hole up there. You know, we sleep there. And so they brought these guys, 6 of them, at least 6, I believe.
The Japanese didn't know they were there?
Oh no, but you know the stupid thing was his wife. She's an American. She decided to take a few of them around town.
Oh.
Immediately, the consulate, Japanese consulate, started making fuss over with the Portuguese government.
Sure.
So you have a house of Americans there, you know, and he goes. They finally smuggled them out. But they had to buy them from the Chinese.
Oh, they had to buy them from the French.
Oh yeah,
The fishermen to pick them up.
Right. Right.
So those are the silly things that happen, you know, and so anyway, that's my life with the consulate.
So let me. So you stayed in Macau through the war.
Yeah.
The war.
Right.
And at the end of the war, what did you do?
Well, after the war, I was working by that time I was working indoors, doing paperwork, and because the consul was disbanding. A lot of people went back to Hong Kong. I stayed behind. My parents went back to Hong Kong before I did. And so I stayed on until later when things were better. I went back to Hong Kong. And I had to look for a job and lived there.
How long were you in Hong Kong before you came to the United States?
Well, I left in 55. In 55, and we came over here. By that time, I had gotten married in 1951, and 52. No, let's say 55. We came over here.
So, what made you think? Why did you decide to come to the United States as opposed to say Canada or Australia?
Yeah.
Or
Well, her brother, my wife's brother, was the first one to come to the States, and so her father bought a house for him, and so we have somebody here, so we came and we stayed with them.
Canada was too cold for
Yeah,
us.
yeah, Canada. So it was somebody. Her brother is here, so we came out, and. Actually, Patrick was the only one born in Hong Kong. So when he came in, he was 2.5 years old. So then I had to look for a job, and my first job was service station attendant. I doing the toilets and pump gas. That's never something.
why don't we pick up again, and I'll ask you about your experiences in the United States.
Yeah, okay.
After you
Well, we came here.
We came
here,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. When we came in June the 19th.
1955.
1955. We had Pat, who was 2.5 years old, and so we moved into my dad's house.
My dad's place.
Just sharing it with the other brothers, and we lived there for about
About 2 years, yeah.
not 2 years.
Yeah.
No, the mother came the following year. No.
No, they came the following year.
Yeah, we came in 55, they came in 56.
Yeah.
And then before they came, we moved down to Los Angeles area.
Yeah. Ralph found our house there.
Ralph
Duarte,
Duarte was very, very helpful. He found
He was in real estate at that time.
yeah, we had a house,
rental.
a rental, and we stayed there until later.
57.
57, but her dad used to come because of a kid. He had to go all the way down there to
By
see him.
bus, yeah.
right.
So
The only
he
grandkids,
said, "Go help me." He helped me buy a house. So we bought this house.
Oh, I see.
And we lived there since
Since
57.
57, February.
In this house in front of you.
Yeah.
The house, it didn't have this room. He added
He
this
added
room later, you know. So,
Yeah.
and then we brought up 7 children here.
Oh. So,
The 2 girls lived in that one room, and the other 4 in the other room. We had built bunks, two
beds, yeah.
bunk beds, and we managed to all this done with her brother and my brother-in-law. They helped us do that, so we moved in here. Pat at the time was in Berkeley. He went to Berkeley and he lived there.
So Gloria, you were a homemaker?
Yeah, until Pat.
When he graduated from college, yeah.
Everybody went to this college, and then she went to work as a realtor.
Oh, as a realtor.
Yeah, not initially just as a typist, And
as a secretary.
Secretary, yes, yeah. So she decided
Then I
to.
got my broker's license.
She got a broker's license, and then she started selling homes.